A former AEW star tells the company, F you! The disappointing truth behind those WWE mystery teasers. My review of Monday Netflix Raw, and more. I'm Ollie Davis, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Mark Henry worked for AEW for 3 years between 2021 and 2024, where he was a coach behind the scenes and the guy on Rampage who would say, "It's time for the main event." But now he has adopted a new catchphrase, FAEW. During his time in AEW, Henry became very close to Powerhouse Hobbs. He mentored the fellow big guy and once described him like a son. Because of this, he passed on his world's strongest slam finisher to Hobbs. Henry has confessed to being very protective of that move. He once told Otis in WWE, who was using it as a normal move, to only use it as his signature or higher. So it's not surprising Henry is upset with the latest world's strongest slam development. AEW commentary is now calling Hobbs' version the most dangerous slam, which the world's strongest man has addressed the only way older wrestlers know how. On Busted Open Radio. They called it the most dangerous slam. They don't call it the world's strongest slam. They're like, F*** Mark Henry. F*** you! How about that? That's to whose decision that is. You cannot disrespect me and expect me to kiss your ass about it. Henry believes AEW is doing this as a way to punish him for previously criticizing the company, where he called the creative team a circle jerk. He doesn't blame the talent but management who have allegedly introduced the mandate to screw Mark Henry. Or AEW just trying to make Hobbs his own man and no disrespect was intended, and that Henry's near 25 years in WWE has warped him to think that wrestling companies actively pursue petty vendettas against former and or current talent. Now here's a message from this video's sponsor.
And now very big news stories, because it is coming out from Frightful Select that the next contender for the WWE Championship at WWE's next PLE will be none other than a surfing shark man. Not a lot is known about the surfing shark man yet. He could be related to legendary TNA wrestler Shark Boy, but as it currently stands, we just don't know. I, for one, hope that he can win the big one.
No, Luke. Surfshark isn't an amazing wrestler. It's an amazing VPN service.
What's a VPN service?
Surfshark? Yes, you see, with Surfshark, you can now protect yourself from cyber criminals, keep your IP address anonymous, and also be able to watch content from all over the world with Surfshark VPN, like WWE on the UK Netflix rather than ESPN in the United States. And you can get an extra 4 months free if you use the coupon code WrestleTalk at surfshark.com/WrestleTalk. So secure your privacy now by clicking the link in the description.
Are you sure that this Surfshark chap isn't actually a wrestler?
About 70%. Over the weekend, WWE uploaded several mysterious clips of seemingly different people walking in fancy shoes. These were just close-ups of their feet, so the wearers of shoes remained anonymous. Apart from To My Cat Kiki, who knows the truth. It's the sort of teaser campaign WWE rolls out when they're about to debut a new wrestler or faction, and we all got appropriately excited. Theories ranged from the plausible, like the return of Santos Escobar or the main roster call-up of Tony D'Angelo, to the legally impossible, like Chris Jericho despite being under AEW contract until the end of the year, Andrade, who was just fired for cause by WWE last month, and Adam Edge Copeland, who WWE could be using Andrade's 1-year non-compete clause as leverage to get AEW to lend them Edge for John Cena's retirement match. WWE played these clips in the commercial breaks of last night's Raw, which concluded with a brand new one, a spinning poker chip with 2026 written on it, which obviously means Happy Corbin WWE return confirmed. Unfortunately, the truth is far more anticlimactic. PW Insider believes the wearers of shoes in the clips are Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and Brock Lesnar, because they were at WWE's HQ this week filming promotional content for WrestleMania 42. They reported that the social media clips weren't actually for a returning or debuting star, but to build anticipation for Mania 42, which takes place in April 2026, which is why the poker clip had that year on. John Cena's Instagram, being in the top 5 weirdest places on the internet, helped out the vague trolling by posting an out-of-context screenshot of the fancy shoes. Speaking of Cena, Netflix have confirmed the last real time you can see him on Raw, posting, "One last Raw, one last time in the world's most famous arena. It's official, watch John Cena's final WWE Raw on Monday 17th of November at Madison Square Garden. That means his real final appearance in all of WWE will be on the Saturday night's main event in Washington on the 13th of December, meaning his retirement speech and celebration will have to happen there with his last match rather than on a following episode of Raw or SmackDown. Now it's time for my review of Monday Night Raw in about 5 minutes. If Jey Uso fatigue is real online, watch mine and Luke's WrestleTalk podcast episode for more on that. Links in the video description below. It is not in real life, as this show opened with him doing a full 5-minute long yeeting entrance. Jey won last week's Battle Royal to put him in the match against CM Punk for the vacant World Heavyweight title, even though he had lost the #1 contenders match the week before. Jey complained about having a lot of people in his ear right now, which brought out CM Punk, who very funnily did Jey's run it bit back to start playing Cult of Personality again, and he said he doesn't know what Jey's going through because he never listens to other people, he only listens to himself. Don't know if that's the brag you think it is. Then, weirdly, Punk started putting over Jey for eliminating his own brother Jimmy in the Battle Royal. The crowd booed Jey in that moment until Punk shut that down, explaining that's the killer instinct you need to become a world champion. It's a bit inconsistent with the babyface morality WWE has established. That's why the crowd booed Jey when Punk brought it up. We've been told since Mania 39 that the baby faces, Cody, Jey, Sammy, Punk, Seth for a period of time, help each other out. And when you don't, that means you're going over to the bad side, which is exactly the story WWE have been telling with Roman corrupting Jey since the summer. The only good thing about going with Jey as last week's winner, who both wasn't Bron Breakker and was also the most boring choice, was this slow burn heel turn against his own twin brother. I felt they didn't do that storyline justice with the material in Punk's promo here. It doesn't matter though because Jey said yeet. What a response. The Judgment Day refused to help out Dominic Mysterio with his Rusev and Penta problem backstage because Finn Balor and JD McDonough were angry about losing their tag titles last week. You know someone's hugely over when their backstage segments get almost drowned out by the crowd. It happens with Rhea Ripley, and now it's happening to Dom as the crowd burst into song as soon as they saw him on the screen. Instead, Dirty Dom had another trick up his sleeveless vest. The Americanos, who caused a double DQ in the very good #1 contenders match between Rusev and Penta. Dom's character continues to be excellent, where he pretended to be totally shocked that the Americanos interfered with a plan they came up with all by themselves. It's the classic wrestling trope though. The heel champion's plan backfires as Pierce told him he'll have to face both men in a triple threat at Saturday night's main event. It was a neat look back at Asuka's decade of domination, celebrating her 10 years in WWE. It's impressive she's had the longest ever undefeated streak, won a Rumble, Money in the Bank and Chamber, and been a 5-time women's champion. All while it feels like WWE have booked her as a second fiddle. I don't know why Nikki Bella is still here. She showed up in July for a match against Liv Morgan, but because Morgan got injured, it seems like Nikki's now stuck here until Liv can come back. She wrestled a decent match against Roxanne Perez here, who finally got a much-needed win, and then Nikki continued her totally unbelievable friendship with Stephanie Vaquer. They'll team against Roxanne and Raquel next week. The Vision were backstage where Bron Breakker was politely disagreeing with Paul Heyman, saying that they should have been in the Battle Royal last week, or at least beaten everyone up in the match. Heyman did his best to convince Bron and us that it was a good idea they didn't capitalize on all the Seth betrayal momentum and strap a rocket to Breakker's back, saying that they should target the guy next in line for the World Heavyweight title. That man was LA Knight, yeah. So Bron had a fun match against him with an awesome finish. Breakker somehow doing a super fast kip up, dodge, and then spear counter to Knight's flying elbow. Breakker does look way more important standing center stage in the Vision with no Seth in the group, but I still feel like they wasted a ton of potential not putting him right in the world title match. Especially because Jey's storyline is kind of better without the world title. Jimmy confronted Jey backstage, annoyed that Jey betrayed him. Their original plan was to go down until the final 2 of the Battle Royal, and then it's every man for himself, which is how all babyface alliances should act in Battle Royals or Rumbles. The far more interesting story is that Jey, being selfish, is actually pushing him further away from the world title picture, which is the direction they were going in, as Jey kept on losing by taking Roman's advice. But 4 letters, 1 word: love. Jey said he still loved Jimmy later on. and they just moved on. Remember when Mexican wrestlers were just booked to feud against each other for about a year in WWE? Now, it's the Irish's turn. Sheamus went for revenge against JD McDonough after JD and Finn illegally eliminated him in last week's Battle Royal, and it made for a super tough, hard-hitting match. JD was allowed to be a resilient bastard rather than a chicken heel, and he even got the win, one of the biggest of his career, albeit thanks to Balor interference. Finn and JD will get a tag title match against AJ Styles and Dragon Lee next week, which I assume Sheamus will cost them. Maxine Dupree vowed to beat Becky Lynch for the Intercontinental title, but wanted to call a friend for advice first, who I assume is Akira Tozawa, or more likely AJ Lee. And the main event was a terrific women's tag title match of Charlotte and Alexa defending against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Face versus face dynamics are always tricky to get superheated, but the story was really smartly laid out. Both teams have their tensions. Charlotte and Alexa are an odd couple, while Bayley and Lyra are having, I guess, mental health issues. It made it about not who's the better wrestlers, but who's got the better teamwork. The action was every bit as good as the men's tag title match last week, with Charlotte's hot tag, Bayley's hotter tag, two brilliant near falls, with Bayley breaking up Alexa's sister Abigail pin and Charlotte breaking up Lyra's nightfall. Lyra stopping Bayley's hand from tapping in the figure eight, but then Charlotte and Alexa showed that, unlike Bayley and Lyra, they're in perfect sync, hitting a double natural selection to retain. The Kabuki Warriors, who had earlier told the Twisted Queens they wanted title shot, jumped them all afterwards, all of a sudden revealing what's been a quite nothing division into one with 3 top-tier teams, which can only mean one thing. It's the first ever 3-way women's TLC tag title match. Give it to me. This week's Raw was 82%. Click the video on screen now to watch Luke and I discuss whether Jey Uso is actually a main eventer, because Jey Uso fatigue, at least going by YouTube thumbs down ratios, is real.